Harp's House. In your eardrum. Speaker box. Man, wherever you want me to be.
You're now listening
to Harp's House. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in to Harp's House. Again, I'm your host, Jonathan Harper. We're getting it going off the top. We have Miss Brittany Hampton. She's a fashion influencer and a TV personality. She has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, so she's pretty poppin'. Most notable, she's been on House of DVF, which was on the E! Network. She's also currently under Next Models out of Los Angeles, who manages her brand and basically the I guess you would say the moves that she's making in the industry. Brittany, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for stopping by the crib. So yeah, let's start out. What was it like being on the House of DVF? What was that experience like?
Ooh, so for those of you that want to be on reality TV, let's just say reality TV is actual reality. I think that, to be honest, I loved it. It was challenging for me because being on a reality show and then on top of being on a reality show and working for a brand and a company like Diane von Furstenberg, one of the hardest things to do was try to maintain your voice and who you are as a person. So the challenges are, trying to be a personality on TV, but also working for a brand that you're trying to win over to actually work in.
Right. So like you said, how was that? What was the competition like, I guess you would say, kind of in the house? Was it really competitive? Was it catty? What was it like for some of the people who didn't get a chance to watch the show and for people who did watch it but want to know kind of what went on behind the scenes, I guess you would say?
So the House of DVF was a series that focused on 8 women who were competing to be the brand ambassador for Diane von Furstenberg. So as a brand ambassador, your job would be to be the face of a brand. We got to travel the world and do all these different things and challenges throughout the entire company with the marketing team, with the design team, and working with all these different departments within the company. And the goal was to find one girl who was willing to do any and everything for Diane. So it was catty. I mean, you've got 8 girls who work in the fashion industry, and every single girl had a normal, regular job that they thought would, be capable of working under these different circumstances. But, it got catty. The age ranged from 19 to 25, and wow. I was the oldest out of all the girls. So yeah, I'm sure you can imagine.
Gotcha. And how did you even hear about the show? How did you hear about that opportunity?
So I currently live in Hollywood, which is Los Angeles, California, and there are always ample opportunities. And it was funny because I was actually a head stylist at Nickelodeon at the time, and everyone knows that I would dress a lot of my clients in Diane von Furstenberg. She was one of the top brands that I would pull for Tia Mowry, Jeanette McCurdy, Ariana Grande. I would constantly pull her items. So people would say to me, she's having a reality TV show. And I would say, no, there's no way that that's even happening. And next thing you knew, I was on it.
Gotcha. And like you said, when you mean pull, you're dressing these celebrities for different events, right?
Correct. So before the House of DVF, I was the in-house stylist at Nickelodeon. And all I did was dress girls. Not just girls, I dressed every single talent from Nickelodeon, from kids to adults to the grandparents that played on their favorite TV shows, on your favorite TV shows. Right. And yeah, I dressed them head to toe.
Now, working at Nickelodeon, were some of the girls little divas or the boys? What was that like?
Oh, you want me to spill the tea in the house? That's what you want me to do.
Well, not necessarily. You don't have to say names, but yeah, what were some of the little girls like?
Of course. So working at Nickelodeon was one of the biggest challenges I've ever faced, I think, in my career. But I loved it. Kids are one of the things that we live by, right? And most of these young adults never knew what it was like to even have a stylist, to have a makeup artist, to have a team of people that were going to make them someone that they weren't ready to be. And, a lot of these young actors and actresses in the world of acting, they tend to be a little bratty, I want to say, but at the same time, they're just in it because they have their own they have their own mindset. Sometimes they don't want to wear yellow. Some don't want to wear black. They think it makes them feel old. But if I'm building a character and my job is to build the character, I could really care less about their personal feelings.
Gotcha.
But I think we all got along for sure.
Gotcha. So I guess you would say moving forward, I guess that must have been a really different experience, like you said, working with some of the little kids to their immediate families to a fashion icon. What was that like, your first interaction with Diane?
The transition from Nickelodeon to Diane von Furstenberg was, I want to say, a transition that I felt I was ready for. Being in the industry that I've been in since I was 5, I've always known that I was going to end up in Diane's face. And it's funny because it's a longer story, but my mother worked for her husband back in the day, and I had an opportunity to be her intern, and I turned it down because I always said to myself, when I meet Diane, it's because she is going to know who I am. So working for her was a great experience because I have the background in working at modeling agencies and working as a stylist to big celebrities. So to her, I never saw her as a celebrity. I saw her as a mentor that I could possibly put my future in her hands.
Gotcha. So like you said, you did win the first show. You were the global brand ambassador. So you were able to, like you said, travel around the world. What were some of the places you were able to travel with fashion?
So with Diane, sorry, hold on 1 second. Sorry.
Sure.
Sorry, you want to pause it really quick?
Sure.
Sorry.
Well, yeah, I can keep.
My manager.
I'm about to say I can keep recording, and then I'll just ask you that question again.
Okay, deal. Okay, hold on.
You got
okay, deal.
3, 2, 1. Again, we're here with fashion influencer and TV personality, Miss Brittany Hampton. Now, like you said, you've been with the House of DVF. You were a global brand ambassador, which afforded you the luxury to travel all around the world, even to Dubai. What was it like traveling to some of these amazing places?
Luxury. Let's just say that it was honestly luxury at its finest. And being able to travel around the world with a brand, representing a brand, and with a woman like Diane von Furstenberg, it was honestly a dream come true, and not just for myself, but for any girl that even watched the show, that wants to be in the fashion industry. And it was an eye-opener for me. I actually got to travel I did Europe, so we did Paris, London, Germany, and then we did Asia, and I ended up going to Thailand and Singapore, and then I did Dubai. And to be honest, it was amazing to see because our show premiered in over 100 countries.
Wow.
So to get off the airplane and know that little girls that are at the age of 14 knew who I was when I was in the bathroom in Tokyo at the layover, it amazes me because it shows that I do have a voice in this industry.
Right. And like you said, I bet a lot of those little girls are some of your 100,000 plus followers, and I'm sure they hit you up on Instagram, Snapchat, all of social media, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Gotcha. So yeah, like you said, you went from fashion, you were traveling. So what's on your plate now, since it's forever evolving and changing?
It is, and so my contract ended with Diane von Furstenberg in February of this year, which is 2016. So, I'll say that again. So my contract actually ended in 2016, in February of 2016. So since then, I'm now an influencer with Next Models, and being an influencer is a whole nother ball game that I honestly didn't know that I would even be ready for. So being like a TV personality, I get to do things like host red carpet events and do live feed takeovers for like the Oscars and the Met Gala. And those are the moments that I always dreamed of. Like now I get to honestly be that critic that gets to say such and such's dress looks awful on the carpet. And people honestly love that. They love the advice. Because a lot of the times I think we've transitioned, especially in the fashion industry, of knowing all the different people that had a voice and how that voice mattered. So for me to get the opportunity now to speak at red carpets and speak on panels, and travel to different states and different cities and different countries and still be a voice matters to me. So now I'm actually working with a couple different brands for 2017 to try to get back into designing and do capsule collections with them.
Gotcha. Once again, we're here with Miss Brittany Hampton. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back on the other side of the break with a little bit about her personality. And of course, whenever somebody stops by Harp's house, we kind of bring them on a virtual tour of what their house is going to look like. So we'll be right back. Stay tuned. We're back. It's Harp's house. It's your host, Jonathan Harper. And again, we're with fashion influencer and TV personality, Miss Brittany Hampton. Now, Brittany, people listening all over the world will hear my podcast. Hopefully, I get a chance to be in some of the countries you spoke about earlier. But I'm sure there's young girls and young women who want to be in the industry and they want to pack up their bags and move to Hollywood with a dream and hopes of making it. Is that kind of how you got here? And what advice would you give them?
You know, it's funny because I think about it all the time, and I always wonder what I would tell my younger self. And, you know, when I was 15, I started working in this industry. I lied on my first W-2, not telling you girls to do that. You can't do that. It's completely illegal. But, you know, I wanted to be in Los Angeles. I made it a point to take the Greyhound out here and you know, get on an 8-hour train and make a couple $100 doing backstage dressing. And I would honestly tell my younger self and anyone out there who's willing to work in this industry to get out and do it. You know, nowadays social media is so important, and you can honestly reach out to anyone.
Man,
and you know,
isn't that
of
true?
course, have
Right.
something stable. You know, don't just jump up and come without, you know, some sort of connection or, you know, an email and anything that you want. But there's New York and there's Los Angeles and Dallas is coming up in the fashion industry. You still have San Francisco. So there's plenty of places that are close by, and I think you should get up and do it.
Gotcha. I didn't know that Dallas was, like you said, coming up in the fashion industry. Man, drop one of Clues bombs for Dallas. Okay, well, look, like you said, we found out a lot about, you know, like you said, how you got to this point, what you have planned next. So, like I said, whenever somebody stops by Harp's house, we kind of go through this virtual tour because, like I said, I feel like when you build a house with us, we kind of get a little bit behind the scenes. We kind of figure out the person you are and kind of how you got from A to B. So I guess one of my big questions is, are you more of a city girl or you're more of a country girl? What would your ideal house be?
You know, so I'd have to say that I'm definitely a city girl, but I did have some summers in the country, that's for sure. So I think that my heart is in the country. But, you know, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a city girl. I work hard. I grind in the industry that I work in. We're in the big buildings. We're in the skyscrapers. So that's where you can find me.
Would you rather be in the burbs or like in a downtown loft?
Oh, that's tough. Can a beach be an option?
I guess with SoCal you can be, like you said, you can be in a suburb on the beach. So I guess that is a SoCal option. That's true. What about
definitely? I would have to say that I would want to work in the city, but I'd want to drive back home to the beach for sure.
Are you more of a SoCal girl, or would you rather the 4 seasons of snow and all that kind of stuff with the seasons changing?
Oh God, no! I'm a Cali girl all day.
Gotcha. But with fashion, you get to do so much stuff in the winter. That's what I always hear in terms of like jackets and hats and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, once a year around February, we have Fashion Week in New York City.
Right.
And we bring out our furs and we look cute, but it's a week. It's literally a week. And then I'm hopping right back on the plane and getting in a bathing suit in California. That's for sure.
Gotcha. So in your house, it'll be, like you said, in the suburbs. You'll be a city girl. And so if we're walking in your house, what are, I guess you would say, 3 albums that we might hear playing in your crib?
Oh, God. I don't know if people are going to be happy about this one, but I would probably say randomly 112, Pleasure and Pain.
Wow.
On repeat. That one's absolutely on repeat. Because it literally, like, identifies me as a person. It's pleasure and pain. Like, in all aspects of my life. Whether it's, like, happy moments or, like, painful moments. But you know, I'm an R&B girl. I will say that.
Okay.
And then maybe like a compilation of like Whitney Houston's greatest hits,
Okay.
playing very loudly so that you can't hear me singing in the shower.
Okay, that works.
And then because I'm a Bay Area girl, I have to put my girl Keisha Cole back on the map.
Keisha Cole. Drop one of Clues bombs for Keisha Cole. I haven't heard of her name in forever. Wow, okay.
You might have to get her on your iTunes.
For real. Keisha Cole, man, for real. Throw it back. Man, that's like love and pain. Lord, it's like stinging from the soul.
See, love and pain, pleasure and pain all over again.
I gotcha.
I love a good cry because if I'm at my house and I am, you know, in my own sanctuary before work, after work, whatever it may be, I gotta let go. So those are my 3 albums.
Gotcha. All right, so we've established you're going to have a house in the burbs because you're a city girl. You might have 112 Pleasure and Pain, Whitney Houston, or even Keisha Cole playing because, like you said, it's always good to cry. What about some of the artwork on your walls?
I would have to say photography girl, but I will say that I am absolutely awful at interior design. I'm awful. Like, I'll go to the thrift store and get everything in the world,
right.
And then I'll go and get, like, you know, I'll go to the museum and want something in my house, but then I'll also go and, like, take a picture on Instagram and think that it should be in my bathroom.
Gotcha.
So we go together.
Gotcha.
I'm hiring someone for that. For sure.
Gotcha. So, all right. So, photography girl. So, are you more so? Would you have pictures of yourself in your home, or like what are some?
No.
You'd be surprised.
This is like a Kardashian moment, Harp. I'm not creating a selfie book.
Hey, you'd be surprised.
I would maybe have. I think that I would want a lot of inspiration in my home. So maybe like if my focus is designing, maybe I would have sketches or maybe from like old creative directors or designers, or maybe I would have like visions of a runway blank with nothing, you know, nothing coming down the runway. I'm very like artsy in that mindset, but I have to also live around what it is that I'm focused on.
Gotcha. I can get up with that. So inspirational photos and or sketches. So I guess you would say, like you spoke about earlier, looking back, if you were to look on like the walls in your room when you were a little girl, what would I find on the walls? Did you have like a boy band on the wall? What were those walls like?
So my teen room walls were 98 Degrees, the Spice Girls, and Allen Iverson.
Oh my goodness!
It made no sense. But
None at all.
I loved every genre.
Gotcha. 98 Degrees and the answer, and that's a collection of photos. That's a first. I've never heard that one. All right, so like you said, if you had 98 Degrees on the wall and Allen Iverson, what TV family, if you could pick any of them, which one would you? I guess you would say live in.
I have 2. If that's all right. If I could live in 2 families, it would be Family Matters.
Okay.
I always wanted to be Laura.
Really?
Then,
okay.
my second is a doozy. Penny Proud from the Proud family. I lived to be Penny Proud.
Family Matters. So you like the nerd growing up? Because if you were with Laura, you have to roll with Urkel too.
No. If I was Laura, I got 2 men. I got Urkel and I got Stefan. So that's my team.
Gotcha. Okay, so who finishes first in the end, Urkel or Stefan?
No, Stefan, for sure.
That's true. But Urkel might be a billionaire today, though, with all the tech stuff.
That's cool, and Urkel's going to help me run my company.
Gotcha. Fair enough. So, yeah, keeping on the topic of your childhood, what would you tell your childhood self if you can go back to that moment when you had 98 Degrees and Allen Iverson on your wall?
I would tell her to stick with Allen Iverson as a choice. No, to be quite honest, I would tell her to focus on
practice.
What it was. I'm sorry?
No, I said practice. No, you know. Go ahead.
Oh. I can't. So If I could tell my younger self something about all those posters on my wall, you know, I would definitely tell her to stick with Allen Iverson,
Right.
but I'd let it be a phase and then tell her to end up with Nick Lachey at the end.
Ah, gotcha. So I guess that adage is true. The bad boy is fun while you're young and you're just experiencing life.
Absolutely.
But in the end, you need more stability. So would you agree with that?
I completely agree. And to all the women and men in the world who go through relationships, you know, I get asked a lot of questions. Like, I know you said that a lot of kids reach out to me now. I have people that reach out to me about love advice. I'm like, why? I don't even have a relationship on my social media. What makes you think I know everything? But granted, your career comes first, and playing with bad boys is fun in the, you know, in the younger times, and, you know, eventually you have to settle down.
So yeah, what was the best advice you received growing up?
The best advice that I received growing up was from my mother, and it was to never lose myself in the shining lights. And that was because when I was 5, I was a child model where I started acting and doing modeling, but then into the fashion world. And she always just said, you know, don't lose yourself, because sometimes, especially in the world that we live in this entertainment industry, you tend to sometimes feel depressed, or sometimes feel like you're not exactly where you want to be, or not even the top is good enough. And people may see you at the top, but you may actually be falling a little bit short in your mind. And my mom always said, just never lose yourself.
Gotcha. Once again, this is Jonathan Harper, and I'm here with fashion influencer Brittany Hampton. Now, just to recap, you know, she said she would love to live in the suburbs because she's a city girl, and she might have Whitney Houston, Keisha Cole, or 112 playing because she is a crier. She'll have some photos on her wall, and she loved The Answer and 98 Degrees, and she would love to be Laura Winslow if she can go back to any of her shows as a kid. So we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. We're back, Harp's House. You know what it is. Again, we're here with Brittany Hampton, TV personality. You've probably seen her on E! A few times, either online or on their actual network. Now, Brittany, we're going to wrap it up with some of the things, you know, I love to give a little word of inspiration or some advice, my Russell Simmons moment at the end. I'm not quite on his level with the yoga, but what was I guess you would say, what motivates you to be the best in what you do?
I will say, Mr. Russell, Harp, I have to say that the person that motivates me the most and the woman that I've looked up to all of my life is my mother. And, you know, it's hard because at a young age, her and we clashed. We're the same person. And there aren't a lot of women out there today that identify their moms as their idol. And no matter anything that I would say to a younger me or to anyone under the age of 20 is they need to find themselves and be able to look at their parents as an influence in their life, because it's a mirrored reflection of who they are. Gotcha. And so that being said, my mom is my biggest motivator. She pushes me every day. I call her 8 times a day, and she tells me to get the hell off the phone. But it does not matter, because I can go to her through good and through bad, and she will always be my mother. Mom always
has your back. Now, Brittany, give our listeners where they can find some of your stuff, some of the things you've been working on, all your social media, all that kind of good stuff.
All right, so you've got my Instagram, which is the highest content that I have. So you can go on there and find me there all day, every day, slide in my DMs.
Hey, drop one of Clues bombs for sliding in DMs. Go ahead.
I had to. I was like, slide in my DMs. It's at B Hampton. And my Twitter is B Hampton Style, along with my Snapchat is B Hampton Style as well.
Gotcha. One more time for people who weren't paying attention and didn't have a pen.
So my Instagram is B Hampton, and my Twitter and Snapchat is B Hampton Style.
All right. Thank you very much, Miss Hampton. And that will do it for the second show of Harp's House. Again, thanks everyone for listening. And if you want to email me any questions, comments, and concerns, you can always email me at harpshouse1@gmail. That's harpshouse1@gmail. You can tweet me because I am Harper, just like I am Diddy. I am Harper. That's my Twitter handle. That's also my social media for Instagram and for Snapchat. So again, I am Harper. Again, thanks everyone for listening and following, and I encourage you to be great and follow your heart. God bless.